this is Dr. Wells with Wells Medicine, and I wanted to talk about a very interesting concept of suffering. And so there is a Buddhist saying that pain in life is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And that seems very glib, but that's not to minimize pain, whether it's emotional or physical pain, but it is to sort of say there are things in life that are going to be awful. And there are things in life that are painful. No one lives a life where they can avoid pain, whether it's stubbing their toe or whether it's losing someone they love. There's no way to grow up without some amount of loss of attachment or feelings of insecurity or some amount of being snubbed by someone that you love or you want to love you back, or some amount of feeling of failure, or some amount of not being what you hoped for, or losing at something, or striving and just not quite making it. Everyone has some amount of pain in life, and that is inevitable. But the suffering is really our thoughts about the pain. So the thoughts of why me, why now, why this, what could I have done differently? Why didn't they find this? Why did this have to happen? Those are all suffering thoughts. And so an analogy I really like to use is if you're walking down the street and you trip and fall and you get a skinned knee, I'm clumsy, this happens to me a lot, that pain is there. It's a real pain. That's not to say that it's not real. There's, cuts and it's bleeding and it's real pain. If someone came up to me who I loved and trusted and gave me a lollipop and pointed out that while I was walking down the street, there was a parade going on and there was this amazing float right there and I had a lollipop and I had the parade and it's a beautiful sunny day and, my knee is still skinned. I still have the damage and the pain, but my attention, my focus isn't on it as much. So the suffering is less for the amount of pain and damage that I have. Now, if for that same skinned knee, I sat down and thought, oh my gosh, am I ever going to be able to walk again? Oh, I'm so stupid. Why am I so clumsy? This is so horrible. I can't believe that. Did everyone see? Oh, I ruined this favorite pair of pants and I'll never be able to get another pair of pants that fits like this. And oh my gosh, I'm missing the whole parade and I won't be able to keep going and it's so far back to my car. That's so much suffering around the knee. The knee is still there. The knee didn't change between the two situations. It was my thoughts, my focus, my attention that created extra suffering for me. And so that's what we mean by pain is inevitable, but the suffering is optional. Now, that's not to say that you won't start having some of those thoughts. But it is available to all of us to notice our thoughts and say, are these thoughts in this situation helpful to me right now? And I think it's very difficult to say, don't stop thinking about this and fight with your brain, because that's sort of a civil war, and civil wars are never won by anyone. There's always attrition on both sides. So I don't think it's super helpful to war with your brain and say, stop it, quiet down, don't think those things. It's better to, like the lollipop, like the parade, distract, focus on other things, change your attention, activate, do things. Not necessarily to avoid the pain, but to change or refocus your attention or put your perspective on other things. So if you're noticing, saying, oh gosh, I'm so clumsy, I'm so stupid, what's wrong with me? If you notice that train of thought and you can say, well, this really sucks. A lot of people fall. Everyone's clumsy now and then. I'm so glad this was only once today. It's a change in perspective. It's a flip to move the perspective from one of guilt and blame and self-abrogation to one of humanity and generalizing, myself with the population and putting myself in a place of like, well, everyone mistakes now and then, and oh, crap happens. And so I think it's a little bit about changing that focus and changing that perspective. And I think that that is available and a muscle that we can build up over time, kind of like wiggling your ears. It's just a muscle, but you have to pay attention, notice it, and then practice.